Hi, I'm Mike Jones. On Thursday, August 22nd, I sat for an extended interview with the committee to recall John West. This consisted of Lily Morgan, Jay Meredith, and Tina Gottschall. There may be other members of that committee that I'm unaware of. In any event, we spoke for a couple of hours covering all of the details of the recall. On Saturday, I spoke with John West for a couple hours in which he responds to the allegations of the recall committee. And that's coming up right now. Thanks for joining me, John West. And just in case people don't know who you are, who are you?
I'm John West, your county commissioner that you voted for in the November of 22 election. And I took office on January, I believe, 4th. A little over 22,000 voters voted for me to be their county commissioner, second highest in county history. So I would like to address, if we can, this group's, so number one, it says bad faith negotiations in the Pike Fork property sale leading to lost revenues and jeopardizing a Williams community water source.
Okay.
So there was an evaluation done in, I believe, roughly 4 years ago, way before my time. Remember, I haven't been in office that long, so I missed about almost 3 years of this negotiations. So the group for 4 years said that they wanted to purchase this, wanted it not to be logged, and wanted to leave it open to the public. So trying to follow the group's desire, we tried to enter into an agreement with them. So they had a yellow book appraisal done by the federal government. And then we had our county forester do an appraisal of it. And that is proprietary property of the county. We don't allow that to go out because if it gets out, say this group doesn't buy it, we don't want our information out there. And it changes every single year because the timber grows.
Right.
So, okay, so let's move along with that. So the property actually, the timber value was $2,760,000 with no land value put in there. That was the timber value alone. As of today, there's almost 7 million board feet, putting the value at $2.9 million. But we were going to hold to our word, and we were going to sell it to them because they're a 501(c)(3) for a little less property. Or a little less money, I mean. So we tried to follow along and tried to do what they said. They said they were going to end up allowing it to be in the hands of the BLM. And we said, well, we want to make sure it's open to the public now. It's the public's property owned by the Josephine County taxpayers. And so we want to make sure that it's left open as you people have said for 4 years. And so we asked for a deed restriction with the BLM. BLM said, no, we don't do deed restrictions because if we want to close the property off anytime we choose for anything we want, we don't want it to be hampered by that. And we said, no, it has to be left open. So there was a sticking point. We were trying to follow what this group wanted. They made the claims that this was, if they didn't get this, it was going to hurt the community watershed. There is no water from here going to the community of Williams. None of that water benefits the town of Williams for drinking water. The state of Oregon says that if you were to log that property, you have to stay 300 feet on both sides of that stream, no cut, no logging. So it would not affect that stream one bit if we was to log it as Josephine County. Okay. So this is just a talking point to get people's attention when it's not a true fact. So one of the other points brought up that they keep bringing up that there's a conflict of interest because I supposedly own a piece of property and have said to different people, look at the map, I own this property. Here are the documents. The documents, the transfer of my ownership in 2020 to a gentleman named William Mielke. Here is the documents where he's been paying the property taxes for the last 4 years. The property taxes goes to him. As far as the corporation that this group talks about, it was dissolved, and the last the last taxes on the corporation were paid many years ago, and that's why it was dissolved. But in this document, it says that Mr. Mielke gets that corporation and that land, and so I have nothing to do with it. So one talking point that they keep talking about, well, the reason why it's important because I might be helping my friend. Well, that's a moot point because there's nothing there because the property didn't sell. In the real estate world, when you sell a piece of property, that is how you define the value of the property around you. This property didn't sell. So ask any appraiser in Josephine County, would you look at the numbers they were using but didn't sell? And they would tell you no, it has to sell, and that is the number. If you appraise a piece of property at $1 million and it only sells for $1,000 or $750,000, they don't go by the $1 million. They go for what it actually sold for.
Yes, I understand, and I brought up this point during the discussion that we had.
So there was no bad faith negotiations. The bottom line to it is the group at the 12th hour said, look at the county tape on a Wednesday business session. We don't care if this property is left open to the people. That's the first time they ever said it. And so we said, wait a minute, that you are negotiating in bad faith because for 4 years, this is what you said. Now you've changed your mind. You should have told us this to begin with. So that's number one. Number two is ignored the will of the voters by eliminating funding for community programs, including OSU, extension, law enforcement, and public health. I'm going to work backwards. We never ignored the will of the voters. We never ignored funding for public health because the citizens never said, well, we are willing to pay this amount of dollars for public health. The budget cut to public health has to do with the state of Oregon and the federal government cutting funding. So we had to follow. We don't have the extra money just to give of taxpayer money to give to public health. So what happened was Healthy Start was a 1-year program. The state of Oregon cut the Healthy Start program. So after 1 year, that program goes away of Healthy Start because the taxpayers of Josephine County don't have the money to fund it. They're not paying any in to fund it. So the farce that 1,200 people lose their WIC is totally incorrect. No such thing is happening. That is just a talking point to scare people into signing this petition to recall John West when they know 1,200 people aren't losing their WIC. So let's go to law enforcement. Myself or the Board of Commissioners or the Budget Committee did not do anything with the money that except for move it forward that the citizens voted when they voted for the law enforcement district. The money, the 99 cents is to fund up to 20 deputies. You have 20 deputies now. It is funding 20 deputies just like it was sold to the voters. The board and myself did not change any of that. So when they say that we cut law enforcement, we didn't. So what happened was the sheriff asked for 10 deputies, more deputies to get to 30. And so we said, well, Sheriff, how many deputies can you hire this year? And he said 3. He said, by the time I get through filling everything and trying to hire deputies, get them qualified, get them this, I'll be lucky to fill 3 of those spots. So the board of commissioners and the budget committee voted to give him the allowance for 5, knowing that he could only fill 3, but there's funding for 2 more deputies above and beyond what he said he could hire. So go back and look at the tape on that. When the budget committee met, it's all on tape. Sheriff saying it. Sheriff agreed. I'm happy with 5. I didn't need 10. Okay? So I had nothing. So I voted no on that for the simple fact that I wanted to not cut the community health budget. I wanted to be able to, since the sheriff was not able to fill those 5 positions, that we could go maybe to 3 or 4 deputies and then not have to cut community health. So I voted no on that. I was the only one. So I'm not going against the will of the people. I was just trying to make the money not sit in an account, not being used to keep another program going. So then later, the board ratifies the budget. I ended up voting yes with the other 2 because the budget committee was the ones that said, no, we want this. So I ratified it with that vote. And so in that vote is what the budget committee said, the public health gets cut $165,000. I have to do what the committee said and the board said. I'm just one person. This isn't a board of 1, it's a board of 3. And so that is what's happened with law enforcement. There is no cuts. Law enforcement we're getting more patrols, more deputies than we ever have had in a long time. So now let's go to the big apple on the tree, OSU Extension 4-H. So the big group that talk about the Jay Meredith talks about $426,000. No, it actually equals $441,000. And so if we, which we're the governing body, that's the way it's wrote up, if the Board of County Commissioners do the tax where it gets charged to the citizen, that creates the $441,000. OSU takes that and has that money, then they can leverage that money to get another $765,000 of grant money. Mm-hmm. Grant money is tax money. And so that $765,000 is part of the 4-H OSU Extension District of Josephine County. So that all that money is to be spent in our district. So what happened was, I hear Lily Morgan talks about, well, there's a procedure and that the master gardeners, and they bring their budget, their full budget. They never brought their full budget. That was our trouble. They brought a budget that didn't include the $765,000. And when we questioned them, where is the $765,000? They said, that's our money. It's not your money. That money belongs with the 4-H OSU Josephine County Extension District. And I said, what is that money being spent on? 14.4 employees of OSU. And I said, okay, what are those 14.4 employees doing? We need a breakdown of how are they working for Josephine County. They said, it's none of your business. That's our money and our employees. We never got the answers to that. And so we said, listen, we work for the taxpayer. And so if you're not going to give us all the documents, all the information we need, and they said, well, we gave you everything you deserve. Everything they thought we deserved, but not the answers to our questions. And that is these taxpayers' money. And so when Lily Morgan talks about the procedure, for her being in as a commissioner for 4 years, she should know that you ask for documents, you should get them, or you don't move it forward. And so let's go back to the 1994, because they discussed that 1994 tax levy. So when it was put out for 4-H, master gardeners, and OSU administration. So 4-H charges kids to be in the program. They charge, the 4-H charges a $5 late fee if your kid hasn't paid by December 31st. Master gardeners were paying, volunteers had to pay for a $25 fee to be a volunteer. When I ask OSU about this money, because OSU holds the bylaws and the jurisdiction over the 4-H association, according to them, this is what Chris Elliott told me, and so, which is the director of OSU for our district down here. So I said, where in your budget is this, all this money that you're charging the kids and volunteers? And he says, that's our money. And I said, wait a minute, you're charging our kids in our program of Josephine County, that should money we should be able to see. Nope, they're not going to show us. 4-H at one time when it started out in 1994 had 797 kids.
Yeah.
Or 795, somewhere right there. So as of a couple of years ago, it was just a hair, little over 320, I believe it is. Right now, there's a little over 300 kids in the Josephine County Youth and Ag. There was only 6 kids left in the 4-H part of the livestock program. So there's only 6 kids this year. Everybody else has moved to the Youth and Ag. Youth and Ag gets no money, 0 money from the taxpayers. And over 300 kids got to take their animals to livestock, got to sell them, got to show them, got to do everything that they used to do in 4-H. And it cost the taxpayers nothing. And I was there this year. They're happy. They're the parents, the kids, they're looking forward to next year. And this group, I listened to them last Saturday down at the farmer's market telling people that, oh, he took away the 4-H program and kids don't get to be in the fair anymore. And next year, he's not even going to let Josephine County have a fair. I don't have that type of power, and I would never do that to our kids or our community. It's nothing but lies that they tell people. And it just amazes me that this group has went off the rails. All we wanted to see was where the money's going. So if you go back to the 1994 4-H, Master Gardeners, and administration, back then they weren't getting all this money. Now, it's been told to me that OSU Extension, out of 35 counties, there's one county that doesn't allow OSU anymore, Multnomah. Can you believe it? Multnomah. And so now there's 2, Josephine County and Multnomah. But so it was told to me that OSU took in $112 million last year out of 35 counties, between the money they get from the counties and the grant, federal and state grant money. Where did all that money go to?
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder where that's going.
Yeah. So my concern and my job is to look out for waste, abuse, and fraud. So the $441,000 paid for, depending on when you talk to them. Last year it was 2.5 people. This year it's 3.5 people. It paid for their wages.
I see.
So they say that money is coming back to the community because they're paying for those people's wages to Josephine County. But the $765,000 that went to pay for 14.4 people's wages at Corvallis, how did that money come back to Josephine County? So they talk about, and I know we need to keep moving on, but there is no ignoring the will of the voters. The voters asked me to go in and look at government and look at where all of this is going, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm making sure that we're not getting taken or abused by anyone, and that our kids and our community. And so what I want to do is peel it back. And if the citizens want a tax levy, I want to make sure the master gardeners are taken care of. and the kids are taken care of. And if we want to bring 4-H OSU back, which I've talked to Chris Elliott about, it's going to be with brand new sideboards. It's going to be done totally different. You're not just going to be given the money and then we just expect you to do right with it. So let's move on to item number 3 is of this group. West has shown a pattern of violating state laws, including campaign finance regulation, public meeting laws, and is currently facing several pending ethics charges and labor law violations. So let's just join into that one real quick. I have not shown a pattern of violating state laws. There is no proof of that. Call the state. I haven't violated any state laws. I did not violate campaign finance laws. Last year on the 17116, which 67% of the voters said no to, I put up signs. I spent my own money as an individual, and you can call the state. The state got a complaint that my name was not on the bottom of the signs and that I was not reporting it with Orstar. And Lily Morgan should know this more than anyone, but she ignores the truth because she just ignores it. I was an individual, freedom of speech. It doesn't matter if I'm your county commissioner or not. I have the right to put up a sign and pay for it with my own money without reporting it to the state under freedom of speech. Once you become a PAC, that join a group of people and form a PAC, you have to go on Orstar, you have to form your PAC, you have to send your paperwork in for your PAC. But as an individual, I don't have to do that. Okay? So
and this is a big one of the issues in there, and so it's good to have that answer in.
Yep. So it's just totally misrepresented. So next, let's go to including campaign finance regulation and public meetings laws. So there has been no violation of public meeting law. A disgruntled HR director who knew that his job was in jeopardy when he made very many blunders in the county. In fact, he cost Josephine County taxpayers upwards of over $600,000 by recommending to the Board of Commissioners that we paid leave Oregon, we do it this way, this would be in the county's best interest, and it ended up costing the county over $600,000 instead of just joining the state program, which we should have done from the beginning, which we are joined now doing, saving the taxpayers that money. So he is making allegations that he has stood in our office and he has seen myself and Herman Bearchigger in his office having secret meetings. Ask him, what were we talking about? He doesn't know. So Dan DeYoung, Commissioner Dan DeYoung, sat in my office one time for 20 minutes. You know what we talked about? Cars. Dan having 15 cars. And how he was tearing this one apart.
And that's not a conflict,
No.
commissioners talking to each other?
So it's called, if there's a conflict, it has to be about deliberating. You're talking about a county subject and you're deliberating, coming to a decision. We can, all three of us can be in each other's office.
Collaborating on like, hey, I'll vote this way, you vote this way.
Exactly.
And, yeah, right.
That has never happened. I've been at Commissioner Bearchigger's office, and we talked about his son and his engines on his fire stuff. We've talked about Herman going to Africa. We've talked about everything that had nothing to do with this county. There is nothing illegal about that. We all three have stood at the counter and talked about the weather. We've talked about all kinds of things, but nothing about county business, not deliberating, not coming to a conclusion, not even discussing county business. There is nothing illegal about that. So the allegations made by a disgruntled employee are false and have no quality.
Yes, and listen, I've urged people that are watching this that all of these ethics allegations are are kind of used like lawfare, you know, against somebody that you don't like. You want to sully somebody's reputation. You throw a whole bunch of ethics violations at them. There's nothing. You don't have to meet some sort of credibility criteria to file an ethics charge against somebody. You just do it, and in the short period of time, you know, from the filing of this recall to the date that they have for meeting all of the signatures that they need, it only has to impress people for that period of time. Well, it may take that long for the ethics violations to go through the pipeline. So mission accomplished, you know, and so I would just urge everybody, unless there's been some finding of fact on the basis of these ethics charges or bully charges or whatever, they should be disregarded until there's some sort of an end of due process, you know?
Yeah. So I think so far I'm not even sure anymore. I can't keep track because I got out of a meeting the other day and they said, oh, there's 2 more ethics charges filed against you. I said, for what? We don't know. They just filed them. And so I got out of an ethics charge Thursday, and it was for having a meeting several weeks ago about fees. We never even made a decision. And the investigator said, well, I'm not even sure what we're doing here. You guys never made a decision. And you would have to make a decision that would affect you. And he said, but you guys didn't make a decision. He said, this is even an ethics violation. And I said, sir, this is being used as a weapon to make me look bad. So the citizens see, oh, all these ethics, not one has been out of, I think, 11 or 13 or 14. I can't even keep track. Not one of them, they have dismissed them all. Baseless claims. A bully claim, Bureau of Labor Industries. That's when you go against an employee, you do something, you discriminate against them. I can't even keep up. It's just 2 or 3 things. One of the bully complaints is, I told a citizen not to pay their code violation because I didn't believe they should have to pay it because they weren't in the wrong. That's not a bully complaint, but that was the bully complaint. Has nothing to do with that. So it's just baseless complaints. So the public thinks, oh my God, this guy is out of control. No. At the end of the day, when this is all done, even if I got recalled and all this was done, I guarantee you there won't be one thing stick. Because it's used as a weapon, like you said. So, okay. So I think we're probably good on that. I mean, I can't, there's no reason to keep just browbeating it. Let's go to number 4. Unlawfully approved library district withdrawal leading to costly litigations. Unlawfully. There was nothing unlawful about it. You read 198.870, and the code, ORS code, says that you can annex into a library district or you can ask to opt out of a library district. So first time ever we had citizens, the Pelfreys, asked to opt out. It went to our legal counsel. They said, yeah, nope, you have a citizen has the right to ask the board to opt out. And they have to explain how the library does not benefit their property. That's what it says. It doesn't talk about the person. It says territory, meaning property. So so what they did was they took the application of annexing in and changed some stuff on it because the county didn't have an application for it. And they had the right to ask for this. And so legal counsel said, listen, they made their own application. We think it meets the criteria. And so we used it. And then legal counsel said, hey, let's not do this anymore. They've already filed this application, but we're going to come up with our own county application from here on out. And we said, okay, we'll use theirs for this one, and then we'll wait till the county gets it accomplished before we do any more. So this process, following state law, can happen. Now, is the bar high? Yes, it is. But so this group talks about how I called 3 citizens who wanted to come into the library, and they wanted to join the library. And so my job for you to each taxpayer is to look out for each person. ORS 198860, effect of annexation order. So I called these 3 folks because the application that we had to annex in, which was an old one, didn't say anything about 198860. And my job is to look out for every one of you. So I called them and said, hey, I don't have a problem voting yes to let you in and pay 39 cents a thousand on your property taxes. I just want you to understand, and I need you to tell me you're okay with it, and then I'm going to vote for allowing you to opt in. But my job is to at least tell you what it says. And so I read them. After the date of entry of an order by the county board annexing your property to the district annexed shall become subject to the outstanding indebtedness, bondedness, or otherwise of the district in like manner.
And so what does that mean? What could that potentially mean?
So what that means, if the library district creates debt, goes out and bonds, let's just say this $36 million new library they want to build, they go out and get loans, gets bonds on it. What this means is they take everybody's property in the district and divide it up, and everyone now has a lien against their property. If that library does not get, say they went defunct and went bankrupt and ended, every landowner has to pay that amount based on their property, how it equals out.
So, and that's not the case now. But let's say that they did get a bond passed or something.
And the board, let's say the board of the library put up a bond to build this new library, and the voters voted, the voters. How many voters know that the indebtedness of the library gets attached to their property?
I didn't know that.
I talk to people all the time in this district, and they go, wait a minute.
Yeah, that was not in the sales pitch for the library district when it passed. That was not. Yeah.
No, so let's just say the library went under, and you and your wife owned your house up on Cook Street. I'm just throwing a scenario, and you go, well, let's sell our home and let's downsize. And the library went defunct, and you go, and the title company says, well, you owe $10,000 to the library, and you go, no, I don't. I've been paying my 39 cents a thousand. Well, no, according to this state statute, you're part of the debt owed against the library, if that was to happen, is right here. And so you owe your part. So
in short, these phone calls that you had were to notify people what they were getting on board with when they wanted to opt into the library district, is what you're saying.
So the application never said, it does now, the application never said, under this statute, we want you to understand that if you opt in, you are jeopardizing your property if there's some debt. And so my job was to let these 3 landowners know, and if they were okay with it, I explained it to them, and they said, no, we're fine with it.
So you weren't trying to talk them out of doing that?
Nope. In fact, one lady was a little bit short with me at first, but then she thanked me for calling her. The other two said, no, I really appreciate you telling me, but I'm okay with it. I don't think there's going to be an issue. And I said, fine.
Right.
I said, my job is done. I called you, informed you what the ORS statute, and now they're making it as if I went after these people. But I'm
Attacking the library.
I'm doing my job.
Yes.
So our new application has it right on there. You have to agree that you have read that and you agree to it, because I didn't want somebody coming back suing the library district or the county that nobody told me. So it is actually protecting the library and the county by divulging that you could be responsible. So they're trying to use it, mislead it, to use it against me, when I'm just trying to protect the people of Josephine County.
If I'm signing up for something, I want to know what the implications are, and if I have a big problem when it comes to real estate transactions, they want you to sign a big piece of paper, and you're supposed to do that without really reading it, because nobody really does read these things,
Right.
But you could be signing away your firstborn there, really, and you wouldn't know. And so the idea that you should opt into something without knowing what could potentially happen is kind of silly.
You're right. So we fixed both applications. So when we fixed the applications, the library had already filed a lawsuit with the courts asking them to overturn. We overturned the Pelfreys opting out because we decided that our application process wasn't 100% correct. So we overturned that process. We give the new applications to the library. This case never went to a judge, never made it in the courts. The library said, oh, no, you got the opt-in and the opt-out applications are perfect, following the law. They dropped the lawsuit. There was no lawsuit because we froze the process. They never had to spend a penny. We were already fixing it ourselves when we realized the application was not deemed correct. So the Pelfreys are in, they're not out. And so this thing that I hear I'm working with, or somebody's working with a group of the Pelfreys, I have no idea. The Pelfreys are citizens. I just am a commissioner for the people of Josephine County. So I need to make clear.
So wait a minute. Are you at war with the libraries? Are you trying to attack the libraries?
No, absolutely not. I want to make sure that I protect the library and I protect Josephine County.
You're not trying to defund the libraries?
No.
Because this is one of the allegations in here.
Absolutely not. Look, since I've been commissioner, I have voted maybe 30, 40 times to allow people into the district. I have never voted, not one time, not to allow somebody to join the district and pay their 39 cents. So if I was trying to defund the district, I'd be voting no on that, wouldn't I?
That makes logical sense.
So if I was trying to defund the district, would I have voted yes to bring the Pelfreys back into the district? I voted to bring them back in the district because our process was not, our paperwork was not correct. And
So nobody has left as of right now, no one has left the district.
No one has left the district. What my goal is...
Are you running a secret campaign to line up a whole bunch of people and facilitate them getting out of the district?
No. Is there a bunch of people
that is the accusation.
Well, then who are they?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I don't know who they are either.
You're part of this cabal, so you should be able to tell me.
Well, I can't tell you because I don't even know. I have not heard. I heard this the other day, and I'm like, oh, well, who's all these citizens? Because I haven't heard that. So it's another talking point to get the citizens to go, oh my gosh, he's gone rogue and he's out of control. No, at the end of the day, I'm still doing the job the people sent me to do, is look out for everyone. And I'm trying to look out for the library to make sure that something don't happen and they get sued during the process too. And I am following the state statutes. So, okay. So one last thing on when they talk about districts, they're talking about now, they're bringing the law enforcement service district in it. So go to the state statutes, go into 198 citizens, go into one ORS 198 and go through it all the way down to 198.995, I think it is. But read through all of them. It's going to give you the information of opting in, opting out. It's going to tell you there's 28 districts that you can opt in and opt out. And so I hear this group talking about, oh my gosh, he's gonna get people, hurting the law enforcement district. Guess what? You can't opt out of a law enforcement service district. You cannot opt out. It's against state statute. You can't opt out of the school district, law enforcement. They list all the districts you cannot opt out of. Law enforcement is one of them. So when this group tries to lump that in there, it's a talking point to scare the citizens who are for law enforcement. Point blank.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move on to item 5. West has shown a pattern of threatening community safety by reducing the FireWise program, reducing emergency management program, and eliminating property fire standards. Okay, let's take the first one. Reducing FireWise program. So we got a notice from the state that our FireWise program funded through the state of Oregon, that they're cutting the budget. So we got that notice, and I hear part of this group that's talking about this recall says that there's money in the program for 4 years. Absolutely false. Wrong. Totally wrong. Jay Meredith has no idea what he's talking about. So go back to the commissioner meeting in the boardroom. City of Grants Pass was there. We had the discussion. Do we keep 2 FireWise program coordinators through October, maybe December of this year if we're lucky, but probably only October? Or do we cut one of them out, keep the program going longer, waiting for our senators and our state reps to see if we can get more money to keep the program going longer since they're cutting it? So what we chose is, instead of ending the program in the next month or two, we would extend the program into next year, hoping to get more funds. So that's what we did. We cut out the city FireWise person. The county person will still lap over and help out inside the city, but that county person is their main program is in the county, and the city person used to bounce into the county and help out. But our goal is keep the program going as long as we can. No, don't let it collapse because of the loss of funding. The funding has nothing to do with the Board of County Commissioners. It has to do with state government. So that's what's going on there. We did not reduce that program. We did not have it threaten the citizens. And so reducing the emergency management program. We never reduced the emergency management program. Actually, that program is bigger, better, stronger today than it's ever been. What we did was we combined one department head over it, and I know we'll get talking into that in item number 6, which is next, but we combined it. We have a better program than we've had in years, and we just have combined emergency preparedness, which was in health, and we have combined emergency preparedness with emergency management. So when we have a catastrophic fire, something that's happening, emergency management doesn't go out and help the people get removed, and then emergency preparedness goes and helps them get the animals out. We have them one program working together under the same roof, so everybody is coordinated together. We're building the program bigger, better, stronger than it's ever been by not keeping it separated. So that's just a total false. Eliminating property development fire standards. So Article 19.76 is the wildfire standards. So you pay on your property taxes, and I know Lily Morgan keeps discussing this, but you would think as a state rep and used to be a county commissioner, she would understand it, but apparently she doesn't. 19.76, you pay I pay $147 on my property taxes for wildfire mitigation on my 5 acres. But I also pay $47.50 on my property taxes to the state of Oregon, ODF, for improvements, meaning my house, my shop, buildings. I pay that to the state of Oregon. And so we had, go back and listen to the tape. It's all on our website. You can go back and pull the tape. We had Oregon Department of Forestry there. We said, listen, we pay property taxes for you to protect our land, but we also pay on our property taxes, which you don't have any say so. If you don't pay it, they take your land. You also, every individual pays in the county, pays property a tax for their improvements. And we said, if my house was on fire, would you put water on it? They said, yes. Now, they said we would not go in your house because we're not structural protection people. So then I checked with the fire department, and I said, how many house fires do you have that you go inside of? Less than 1%. So you're paying ODF, you're paying fire protection in the county rural metro. But what we said was, listen, the 19.76 says you have to belong to a fire district. And so we said, ODF, don't we have a fire district here? And they said, oh, yes, you belong to the Southwest Oregon Fire District, recognized by the state of Oregon, directed by the state of Oregon. So then LUBA, the Thousands Friends of Oregon's or whoever it was, filed a LUBA appeal. LUBA says, no, we don't recognize that being a district. So I believe that Oregon Department of Forestry, based on LUBA's opinion, owes every citizen in the state of Oregon all the money back they've been paying on their property taxes. If that LUBA decision is announced.
Well, that'll be interesting.
Oh, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, because LUBA, which the governor has some say-so over, says, oh, we don't recognize them as a district, but look at it. Go to Oregon Department of Forestry and look at what it says. It says Southwest Oregon Fire District. Everything you're charged with, Southwest Oregon Fire District. LUBA doesn't recognize it. We're not saying that you didn't have to get rural metro another fire coverage. We never said that. What we said was, you already pay for ODF. If you want to pay for rural metro and have two, have your do what you want. But we're not going to force you. So I heard Lily Morgan say when County Fire quit. County Fire did not quit.
Yeah, they got bought out.
They got bought out by Rural Metro. Yeah. So Rural Metro wouldn't have a competitor.
Yes, and I can speak to this. I was with County Fire, and Rural Metro called me up and they said that they would give me another year at the rate that I was going to be renewed at with County Fire. And they did that. And just here a few weeks ago, I got my renewal, $300 more a year. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Lily, who's supposed to been your state rep and your county commissioner, can't get her facts straight because she knows, but she doesn't want to say the truth, because if they tell the truth on this, there is no reason to recall me. But if they make these these claims that has no merit, and people listens to it, they're like, oh my gosh. But when the truth comes out, there is no there, because there's nothing. We were just trying to get things clarified by what the state of Oregon says. And the state still disagrees with LUBA. They disagree wholeheartedly because they need to.
Yeah.
Because they might owe hundreds of millions
I
of dollars.
understand that. It sounds like a family squabble that they're going to have to work out somehow.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Number 6, hired unqualified political allies to key county employee and contact positions. So, Michael Sellers was Herman Berchigger's chief of staff. But Michael Sellers had been in the private sector way before that. Michael Sellers has a master's degree in cybersecurity. He has a bachelor's degree. Michael Sellers has every degree. When we put that position out there for an IT director, he had every qualification that needed. We brought it down to him and a gentleman, and I heard them say that the person who should have been picked or was going to be picked was here and had more qualifications. That's wrong. We narrowed it down to 2 applicants, Michael Sellers and a gentleman from Idaho. And you know what changed? What was the difference? Michael Sellers knows our county 100% because he lives here, knows it. When we asked the gentleman from Idaho, I've never been to Josephine County. I don't know much about it. So, do you want somebody from out of state that doesn't know your county, or do you want somebody that has lived here and knows it? They both had the same qualifications. They had the same degrees, the same, they were professionals. So what we did was, before we got to the end of that, we said, listen, we want to bring in emergency management and combine the two, because we saved $95,000 of taxpayer money by combining those 2 departments. Both applicants held qualifications for both. So we wasn't making one opt out because, they didn't have both of them. So they both stayed and finished 1-2. And when it come down to it, it was still the same answer. Michael Sellers has all of his ISO ratings for fires, emergency management. He has all of it, actually more ratings, state and federal ratings, than our previous emergency manager.
Jay Meredith was sitting here, and he told me he has no qualifications to be
Absolutely false. Jay Meredith has no idea what he's talking about. Jay Meredith is doing a talking point. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Michael Sellers is one of the most qualified emergency managers in the state, and we have ever had. He has every rating you could ask for. So what has happened is we took a guy who's local, that knows our area, knows everything about it. We gave him a job. Whether you want to relate him to Herman Berchigger, it had no bearing on my decision. It was what was best for Josephine County. Who knew Josephine County? Was this guy qualified? Yes, in every fashion. So when they make statements, the old HR director makes statements, he didn't like it because he was mad at me and Commissioner Berchigger, and he had his own axe to grind, not what was best for Josephine County. And that's why he's part of this whole thing today, because he was mad. We brought him forward in a commissioner meeting and had a discussion with him about things that were going on. He didn't like it. If you hold somebody's feet to the fire in this county, oh my goodness, they don't like it. They want it. So let's go to the next one. Simon Hare. I hear Lily and Jay talk about this Simon Hare thing. So there was no $80,000 contract. Jay Meredith has no idea what he's talking about. Go back in December of 23. Look at the tape. Twice. I personally brought it before the board. I didn't make the decision on my own like they are stating it, because we're a board of 3, not a board of 1. I brought it before the board and said, listen, we have a broadband program here. We have some grants that we need to get and we need to apply for. So we can spend $5,000 or $6,000 a month getting somebody to try to get us the money, not knowing what kind of job they're going to do for us. Or here's a guy, Simon Hare, who was a commissioner for 8 years. He worked in the federal end. He knows all about this. And I said, I want to pay him $1,600 a month, $1,600 a month for a couple of months to get us through the grant program and see if we can and get our grant done and get this $150,000. So we talked with legal. Legal said, listen, we're a little backlogged. It's the holidays, but yeah, you guys want to do this? We can do this. We can get him working on it, and we'll get the contract done. They were backlogged, and they said, we can still move forward. He's a contractor, and we can still move forward. Tell him what we need, what his job duties are, and we'll get the contract done. It got pushed out. The contract got pushed out a little bit, but when he got his money, he also signed the contract. But in the meantime, he did all the work that we expected of him. And so a contract can be a word of mouth. It doesn't have to be signed. Now, is it better to sign a contract first? Yes. But we were under time constraints. We had to get these grants in. And so you know what happened?
What?
We finished first out of 36 counties, finished first in the state of Oregon under this contract that Simon Hare, he drew up for this grant. We finished number 1. Only 3 counties finished 1. We finished 1. Another county finished 2nd and 3rd. Only 3 counties got the full $150,000. We were the first ones to get it because of Simon Hare's grant writing. Phenomenal job. So when he is done with the grant writing, I said, Simon, I'd like to keep you around, but I don't have any need for you, and I'm not going to waste taxpayer money. And he said, no, I'm cool with that. We paid $3,200 for his services for 2 months, and we got $150,000 in return.
It seems like a fair trade. So
there was no $80,000.
So there was there anything illegal or unethical about that circumstance where you hired Simon Hare in that way?
We followed legal counsel's advice, saying we can do this. We don't have to have a contract signed up front first. And so when Dan DeYoung makes comments that, oh, John did this and John did that on his own, Dan DeYoung voted to do this the first time around. Go back to the video. Dan said, well, I would like to have a conversation with Simon Hare before I vote on this. And we said, okay, let's table it till next week. Go back to December 14th. Simon Hare's sitting there after the meeting. Simon goes to his office. They have an hour meeting. Comes back. Dan DeYoung says, in the next week, he says, oh, I'm okay with approving this contract.
Okay, so this is one of the things that they are suggesting, that there was no vote on whether or not to do this. They say that didn't happen.
It was brought to the board. The board made the decision. I cannot make this decision on my own.
So in other words, no one on the Board of County Commissioners hired Simon Hare solely themselves. There was a vote on this. It was approved, and the legal portion of it got into the pipeline.
Yeah, we don't do the contracts. That was on legal. Legal said we can do it. We can move forward, and so that's the whole nuts and bolts of the Simon Hare thing.
So now, as for the authorization of payment was made to him. Was payment made to him without a contract?
All I know is that he gave an invoice, because after 2 months, he gave an invoice and I had notified him that we were no longer going to need his services because there was no reason to pay him at that time. And we were waiting for that grant that we were awarded. And so legal said, well, I'll get the contract in to finance and we'll get it, and then we can get his check cut, or we can get his check cut, but we still need him to sign the contract. I left that.
All of these things were in the pipeline, though,
Right,
is what you're
right.
saying.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
Understood.
so legal went through this the whole way. They knew when he got paid. They knew when he signed the contract. They did, all that. So there was no funky business going like the recall group wants to make it out. But people need to understand there was no $80,000 contract like Jay Meredith says. That is a lie. It's totally mistruth. So with that, I have to ask myself, what is the real reason going on here with this recall? And give me a minute, if you would.
Sure.
So we see what's going on at Gold Hill. Lily Morgan is having troubles over there. She's got bully charges against her. What I understand that come out to me, a citizen had talked with Newswatch 12, and they're reporting that Newswatch 12 says more employees are filing bully charges and are going to quit. So Lily's got real troubles over there. But then we got Jay Meredith, who's been out of shape because he works for a mineral company, and I wouldn't approve him to enter into an agreement with the county that would not guarantee the county any money on the county forestry land, timberland, and he wanted a 5 to 10 year agreement to be able to go out and as a mining lease. And when I wanted to hold their feet to the fire and guarantee that the county was actually going to get revenue from this, they said, well, we're not going to guarantee you're going to get a penny. But he goes and he spouts this $260,000 could be going to law enforcement. It can't. Any money generated off of the county timberland has to go back into forestry. It cannot be taken to the other departments like that. That's not the way it works. They know it. Lily knows it. He knows it. He's been told. I've told him. Everybody's told him. He's mad. He's disgruntled because he didn't get this lease on here, not paying nothing for it. And those folks in that company could have went out and sought investors and had investors put all these millions of dollars into it. And what would have happened? I have no idea. That's up for you to decide how the show goes. Tina Gottschall, I really don't know the lady. I've been in her establishment that she used to own when she owned it. Nobody's going after the library. Nobody's mad at the library. This is just a power trip, and so. A candidate running for county commissioner sat in my office, Pat Fahey, almost 3 hours, asked me to cut a deal. Asked me to cut a deal that I would guarantee him my vote to put in a county manager. And I said no. The only deal I would ever make is one that benefits the taxpayer, one that benefits Josephine County. And so when it was brought up about a county manager, Lily Morgan's name comes up, most qualified person. So here's what the real bottom line to this, all of this comes out. I'm in the way of Pat Fahey making Lily Morgan the next county manager, costing the county upwards of $300,000 a year. She's not an elected official, so the elected public cannot get rid of her. And Pat Fahey, and if I'm gone, and he doesn't have somebody to help him push all the agendas through that he wants, then with me gone, he can do whatever he wants. He can push the agenda through. So there's more to this. The citizens need to be very careful about drinking the Kool-Aid, because there's a big plot here. And the big plot that I am laying out is the truth. They can dispute it all they want, but the facts, I have the facts to back up everything that they're saying is totally wrong. And I'm telling you, this is what is in the cooker. And there's a good chance Miss Morgan may not be the city manager of Gold Hill the way it's fallen out. And the story is getting thicker and thicker, and she needs someplace to land. And what better with Pat Fahey? Go look when they filed the petition for recall. Look at the very back end of the photo. Pat Fahey standing back there. Pat Fahey claims on his website that I helped get rid of the Sportsman Park. That was done before I become commissioner. It was done way before I become commissioner. Had nothing to do with it. But he throws that out there. Pat Fahey seems to have a problem with telling the truth, like the rest of these people. If you watch our Thursday video, we're combining, we have 265 or 269 vehicles in this county. And so we're combining the vehicles, and we're going to have a motor pool. So we have county departments that pay for a $50,000 vehicle, pay for insurance, pay for maintenance, pay for all this, and only drive that vehicle 1,000 miles a year. So by having a motor pool, we can get rid of 20, 30, maybe 50 vehicles.
So, and that, what does that do to the county's budget?
Well, so 58 cents equals $5.1 million roughly. That's what we take in, 58 cents.
Okay.
So if we could save, not have to buy, let's just say 20 vehicles, there's $1 million in vehicles that we're no longer going to pay for. So there's $1 million. Now we take the insurance. Now we take the maintenance. So now, as we're looking at moving departments and moving things that make sense, and now we want to combine some more departments and have an average director cost us $201,398. Fully loaded director. So if we can combine some things, get neck down, we're in a contraction mode. We have every department, even Public Works says, well, we're looking at probably there's going to be some budget cuts in the state, and we're going to have a little less money coming. Public Health tells us that. Everybody tells us that. So as we keep contracting and getting less money, I'm like, okay, let's get ready for it. Let's get ahead of this program. Let's combine. Let's save $5 million and make all of these moves. And then the citizens can get the same service or better than they have now, and not go, oh, well, I went down there and they're only open 2 days a week. No, my goal is to give the citizens as good, if not better, service and fix some of our budget problems. Instead of, this county has just been wasting money. The motor vehicle. How many years has this been going on? We used to have a motor pool, a vehicle pool years ago, and they got away from it. And we have been spending millions of dollars over the years. We could have back. We can't have it back, but if we didn't, we would have millions of dollars more. And this is why 22,000 people sent me in there. They wanted a citizen, not a politician, a person who has a business sense, a person who's a small business owner as myself, to go in and look out for their money and everything to do with the county, and to try to move the county forward. That's what I'm doing, but I'm a threat. I'm a threat to a group of people that has an agenda. And We know what the agenda is, and it's going to determine, does the citizens want to move their agenda forward? Do they want to believe in their agenda, or do they want to wait for the repercussions of it if it happens, the fallout, and then they go, boy, that was a bad decision, but then it's too late. So that's my take on it,
there
sir.
we go. Listen, I appreciate you coming in and taking the time. There it is. I promised you the other side of the story, and there it is. There's more to come. Herman Berchiger is going to sit with me in a couple of days and add his 2 cents to this circumstance. So I appreciate you very much for popping in, watching this podcast. And if it is a benefit to you, please like and subscribe. And we'll catch you on the next one.